Peace family, so I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about the new age self-improvement witchcraft. We got this new age self-help, self-heal wave that's been going on, and we got a lot of quote-unquote gurus and a lot of people who've been taken into this space, which, you know, everything should be weighed in on a percentage scale. So on a percentage, it's nice that a lot of people are looking inwardly towards self. The tricky part in the witchcraft comes in that when the system already understood that this was going to be part of the transition with going into retrograde, which, if you was aware of what was happening in previous years, we in this space, you know what I mean? So we all understand that we should be healing certain things, we should be growing through certain things, like a lot of things should be getting worked on and worked out. But you got a lot of self-help gurus and a lot of people who are teaching self-help, self-heal, but they aren't putting in the whole recipe into what's actually going on. So we are like at this weird stage to where we all want to grow, learn, like just level up, whether it's spiritually, physically, or like just in all aspects, right? And just do better, be better, move more righteously, all these things. And the system understood that we would be getting to this point. So with us being here at this point, we have a lot of plants that they put in place, and then they have a lot of beings who just took a liking to it, but didn't take in the whole recipe to how to bake the cake. So they want us to believe that these things, like we got to start waking up at 5 a.m., you know what I mean? We got to start brushing past a lot more situations. You know, if you are working on yourself, then you shouldn't be entertaining people who are like doing witchy stuff to you. Like, it's like a lot of things that go into this whole self-help, self-heal movement, right? But then the key ingredient to the recipe that everybody has been missing and only been talking about it in different segues. And what I mean by different segues is like, you need eggs to make a cake. So people don't talk about how they got the flour and the eggs and the butter and all these things all in one. They'll talk about the flour over here and they'll talk about the eggs separately. We have the system which is forcing us to take accountability for ourselves and our ancestors, right? Our parents, the ones that came before them. We're taking accountability for us, all of them, while they are enforcing more slavery tactics on us. So while we all out here working on self and looking at ourselves like, all right, well, yeah, I did mess up here, I could have did this better, I could have did that better. On the other end of the spectrum, we got the opposition that's still working on us. A lot of these self-help gurus and these people that's in these spaces, they don't discuss the beings and the entities that's still working on us, whether they working on our food, working on our air, working on our water, you know, just working on us as a whole. You know, I didn't even touch the social medias, you know, just feeding us witchy, toxic, poisonous stuff all the way around the board, you know what I mean? So when you start listening to beings who are speaking and preaching like the self-help, self-heal, you know what I mean, all of these things, it's nice, it's cool, but listen to the overall and take the overall message, because there's a lot of witches out here that's casting spells, and a lot of us, most of us, are slaves right now, and they're making you feel like you're not a slave, you just have to work harder. That's like being in prison and not knowing that you're in prison, and you just keep working harder for 10 cents to 25 cents to 40 cents, you know what I mean? And you putting in way more than you're getting back. But then you'll have them telling you at the same time, no, you're doing great. No, you just have to work harder. You just have to, yes, we understand how hard we gotta work. We know it's a lot of footwork that we gotta put in. It's a lot of groundwork that we gotta put in. We understand these things. We've been putting it in. You have been putting it in. The catch-22 comes in it is when they do things like this shit with inflation is what they call it. I don't know what the hell they inflating when, you know, inflation is usually like you taking air out of something. Let me inflate that, deflate that. This is like blowing up. So now all your expenses have went way up through the roof, and it's still gonna go higher, right? But then you still gotta deal with the same obstacles, which is the same witchy motherfuckers around you, your friends, family, spouses, which a lot of us have gotten to a space to where we cut a bulk of them off. But it's so many out here that even when you opening doors, you literally have to use your peephole. That's why doors have them. You literally have to use your peephole when opening doors, or before you open a door and letting somebody into your space or your residence or whatever location and vicinity you at. And I mean spiritually, it doesn't have to be physical, because over here everything is inwardly, outwardly. So a lot of us have been putting in the work. A lot of us have been putting on a lot of grind, a lot of time, you know, so much to the point to where that, like, we have to burn ourselves out. Like, a lot of us get burnt out. We don't even get to actually, like, rest. We don't actually get real relaxation. You know, we are peaceful beings, so it's not like we aren't peaceful. But what I mean by relax and having these times and spaces, meaning like outside of sleeping, when you leave this vessel, you can be in this realm and still be at an awe moment. And I don't mean like an awe moment, your Zen moment where you have to be in a meditation state. You should be able to relax when you're just being active. You know what I mean? Like, most of us have to force a time and space for us to create that remedy for us to be able to have relaxation in the middle of our meditation time. You know what I mean? So it's like I was saying in the last one, we put in a lot of work. You gotta give yourself credit where it's due. A lot of these self-help gurus isn't giving the whole recipe, you know what I mean? And they gonna make you feel worse about yourself in the process before you actually able even to take the steps to feel better, you know? And it's like, yeah, that's a catch-22. Some things ain't always gonna feel good when you ain't taking it, you know what I mean? Some foods don't always taste that great when you ain't taking it. But we know the cause and effect that it has on our body. We understand how much more helpful it is for us. For us and to us. You know what I mean? So I seen, like, I don't even watch any more of that kind of content, you know, and when people speak of that stuff, you know, I already understand it on all levels. But what I tell people, you know, and what I practice is, it's a spiritual war. So I have to remind myself of these things all the time. You know what I'm saying? Even when I'm at my most peaceful states, I'm still in this realm. I'm still in Western society. I'm not going to be dumb, naive, or blind to what's actually happening and going on out here. Because even when you find a moment of relaxation time in your own space, because it's a spiritual war, you still got the opposition throwing salt on you, you know, attacking, still dropping booby traps, obstacles all in your way. You know what I mean? How many of us have that same basic scenario where it's like you really need to use your computer, and then all of a sudden now it want to start loading slow, it want to start lagging, it want to start closing out programs for you, it's trying to reboot. You know what I mean? But when you naturally just using it for, like, not in so much of a rush or not in as much of a need to use it, you just regularly using it like your regular workflow or your regular day flow that you do on there, it's fine. These are all things that's still happening from within. You know, the technology is a vessel. It can be accessed and used as well too. So it's just a small reminder, like, we are in a self-help, self-heal kind of thing, but we are also all one. You know what I mean? And I mean vessel. I'm not talking about spiritually. Like, we got demons and oppositions out here. You know, but what I mean by is we all one. Like ants, they all one. They all need each other. You know what I mean? Like, when you see them walking, they have to walk in a straight line, because to them, what looks really small to us is really big to them, and their vision isn't as far. But if they're all moving together, then they all can tell. Oh, all right, there goes Sally, there go May, there go Bud, June, you know what I'm saying? Oh, hey, they taking their food back to the place. They on their way to go grab it, you know what I'm saying? But they all working and moving together. We doing it to a degree to where it's hurting a lot more people than it's helping. Because even with the toxic ones, it's making us become better. It's making us become stronger. So, like, before we got into all this information, your trials and tribulations was your trials and tribulations, and you trumped them, and you talked about how you trumped them. You wasn't talking about, you know, how you was traumatized in the situation and how you need to heal. It was like, nah, I made it through that obstacle. I made it through that shit, and I'm here. But we lost that space, and we became victims because of this whole new witchery with this self-help, self-heal, self kind of thing. You know, everything is goddamn self. Like, even for me in my internal space, it's always the creator. You know what I mean? So even when I have to do for me so I could do for others, when I process things that way, it still reverts me back to putting the creator first, because I'm not gonna be here forever. So it's like, damn, yeah, oh well, yeah, you could run around and knock out a couple more things so you could get a couple more dollars to pay on a couple more bills to get a little bit higher to do this or do that. And it's like, you could, but, or you could trust your team in the process and know that the creator is going to take care of you. You know what I'm saying? Knowing your team is going to ride with you, knowing that they always going to hold you down. You know what I mean? So don't get lost in this sauce with all this new age witchcraft, with this self-help, get up, grind 24,000 hours a day. Yes, we have to, you know what I'm saying? But it's really slavery, and they're trying to prolong us standing on our 10 toes as long as they can. It's really slavery, all right? So they basically masking physical slavery now, because they said it was spiritual, but clearly it's physical as well too. You know what I mean? So when they have to resort to these kind of tactics, you have to understand it's to depopulate. They want us all up out of here. It's easier to control the lesser, but they don't have to police most people because they got enough of their team as our friends and family already around us that's monitoring and that's working on us. You know what I mean? So just don't help them work on you. You know what I'm saying? You work on you with the greater good. Don't help them work on you. We got enough of that shit already. You know what I'm saying? So we pretty decent at self-sabotage. We don't need to do that anymore. We already working on minimizing it. That's usually my cue, you know what I mean? So I ain't gonna run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? Be mindful of these new age witches that's preaching and teaching this self-help and this let's grind until your wheels fall off, and not really putting out the whole recipe and explaining that we are grinding way harder than we ever been grinding, and we're still seeing less. We are grinding way harder, and we're making up for our ancestors, meaning our parents, their parents, the next parents, the parents behind the parents, and all the grands that come in line with them. And I say that because we're the ones that got our feet down on the ground now. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of these witches out here teaching this shit and not giving the full recipe. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're not giving you different ways to kind of counter what the system is actually doing, opposed from just putting it all on you, we get a percentage of it, but we don't get all of it. You know what I'm saying? And then if most of us wanted all of it, we could have been working all these dumbass corporate jobs, you know what I'm saying? We could have been doing witchy stuff to get a bigger bag, a faster bag, but we all understand on a deeper level that it ain't about the bread, it ain't about the money, it ain't about the finances, you know what I'm saying? It's deeper than all of those. Those are just tools that we need here to feel like we're not slaves right now, you know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of the knowledge and information. But tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.